Hi, everybody, and welcome. I'm Judi Glova, and today is day one of the Burnout Solutions series. And I've collected some of the best experts for you to teach you about how to have your own burnout solution. So I'm excited because today is all about awareness, knowing your strengths and your burnout blind spots, whether it's in your business or your mindset or on a physical level or a spiritual level, so that you can let go of some of the habits and behaviors that are holding you back. I want to have a quick reminder that we're going to be meeting every day throughout this online series in our Facebook group called the More Than Enough Women's Circle. I'll be live in the evening, so don't miss my daily recap and highlights. Plus, I want to be able to answer any questions so that you can take these tools and skills that you've learned each day and use them. So if you haven't already, head over to the More Than Enough Women's Circle. Now, before we kick things off, I want to introduce you to today's expert. It is Marisa Peer. Marisa is a world-renowned speaker, rapid transformational therapy trainer, and best-selling author. She has nearly 3 decades of experience as a therapist and has been named Best British Therapist by Men's Health magazine and featured in Tatler's Guide to Britain's 250 Best Doctors. Marisa uses her experience of treating clients, including rock stars, CEOs, elite Olympic athletes, royalty, and Oscar-winning actors to inform her life-changing speeches and lectures. In 2015, Marisa launched her Marisa Peer Method School, teaching her unique method for the first time to audiences in London, Canada, in US, and Australia. Hi, Marisa. I'm so grateful to have you here. How are you today?
I'm very excited to be here. I'm very honored you asked me, and it's lovely to be here.
Great. Well, I want to ask you the first question that I've been asking everybody, which is, why do you think that businesswomen today are, there's this epidemic of burnout?
Well, there's 2 things. First of all, you are a human being, not a human doing, and that means you should be more and do less. And I spend a lot of time in Africa, and when you're around tribes, you'll see that they work with the elements. In the winter, it's dark at 5 o'clock and everything stops. So they spend a lot of time sitting, looking into the fire, reflecting, chatting, hanging out. Ever since electricity, we actually do more. We're now on call 24 hours a day. We're always answering emails. Our grandparents would have clocked off work at 6 and they were finished work. They didn't have bosses that could text them. Could you just do this bit of copy? Could you just do this? Could you just do that? So we now have 24 hours, 7 days a week ability to work. We're always on. We're always checking emails, checking copy, looking at something on Facebook. We don't have that structure. If I start at 9, I finish at 6. Some great artists, I think it was Pablo Picasso, so when I finish work, I leave Pablo Picasso at the door and I go home and I'm someone else. That doesn't happen anymore. And secondly, for women especially, the pressure to be everything to everyone. Women are judged much more harshly than men. We judge women on what they look like. Female politicians, Hillary Clinton, we judge them on what their hair is like, what their clothes, have they gained weight? It's terribly unfair to do that. We judge them on their behavior with their children. That child is acting out, must have a terrible parent. We judge them on what their homes are like. And, we've become a product and we have to be perfect, perfectly groomed, perfect kids, perfect homes, producing perfect work. And the pressure is really bad. And because of social media, we've now all got what I call overexposure to fake perfection. All your friends have got better bodies, in a better holiday, with much better looking, better behaved kids than you. And so we now look at all these Instagram posts and Facebook posts and we don't match up. We see celebrities like Beyonce looking perfect after having twins. We see people like Kim Kardashian looking amazing. You never see her with bags under her eyes or raggedy hair or a bit of stain on her t-shirt, but they've got armies of staff. But what we believe is everyone's doing a better job than me and I'm just not matching up. And I think it's a great shame that we are under so much pressure to be perfect instead of just being able to be ourselves. We're really making a whole generation of people ill.
Absolutely. And the focus of our talk today is I am enough, which is obviously, an amazing topic that you cover from A to Z. And I just would love to ask you also, it's like, well, how do we know that we're enough? Because what we're talking about is feeling like we're not enough all the time. So how do we know that we're enough?
Well, how do you know you're not enough? Where does that come from? There isn't a baby on the planet that's born thinking, I'm not really good enough. I've got these fat knees, or I haven't got any teeth, or I've got milk spots. All babies. When I used to take my little baby out, people would peer into the stroller and tickle her toes, and she would giggle and laugh. And no baby looks away and goes, I'm having a really bad hair day today, or my diaper's leaking. Don't look at me. In fact, when their diaper is leaking and their nose is running, they still run up and think they are the most gorgeous thing in the world. So here's something that's true. You are born knowing you're enough. All your needs will be met. And it's very easy to take that out of small children by going, well, look at your brother. He can eat without getting peas on. Look at your sister. She can spell, she can write, she can read. Your niece, your cousin, my friend's child, she was doing this early. And even with babies, my baby's on solids at 6 months. Mine is sleeping through the night. Mine was walking at 10 months. Mine was doing maths equations at 2.5. Obviously, that's this competitive world where we even make our kids compete. And children very quickly pick up they're not enough when their parents say things like, well, why can't you get A's? Look at your friend, she can do that. Or look at your brother. It's very, very easy to make people feel they're not enough. And even when you say to your children something like, I love you because you're so beautiful, or I love you because you're so smart, what the child hears is right. And if I wasn't, you wouldn't. And when you label someone, you limit them. And it's very hard for women who are always labeled, you're my princess, you're so beautiful, you're so gorgeous, you're so lovable. Because we have days when we've got our period and our skin breaks out and we've got a cold and we don't feel like that. Or when our parents say, I'm so proud of you because you always get straight A's, we're now in a race. Right. A race to be perfect. In my experience, the unhappiest people I've ever met are the ones who try to be perfect. Here's Catherine Zeta-Jones with a perfect life, suffering with bipolar depression. Marilyn Monroe, Princess Diana, Whitney Houston, Heath Ledger. We see all these beautiful people. Britney Spears falling apart because of the pressure to be perfect, because it's a race with no finishing line ever. Someone puts the finishing line in front of you, and as you get close, they move it, and they move it again. And really the happiest people stop trying to be perfect. I mean, for women, it's so bad now that we've got this thing about a week after giving birth, you must be a size 6. We've now got this weird thing where you're supposed to have an orgasm as you give birth. I mean, come on.
I haven't read that article yet.
Yeah. The model Giselle Bündchen said that she had orgasms as she gave birth. It's like, honestly.
Oh, of course she did. She's Giselle. Of course she did.
It's so unfair for women. We've got enough pressure. Now we've got to give birth, having had a full bikini wax, looking like Demi Moore on the cover of a magazine, looking amazing. We've got to whip back into shape a week after the birth. We've got to be having wild sex with our husband while whipping up organic pureed food from Whole Foods. It's just insane. Our grandmothers didn't have any of the pressure we have to be perfect. And every month there's a new body part. Hey, I don't know if you've heard of the A4 challenge. You know what that is?
No. What's the A4 challenge?
You hold a piece of A4 paper and your hips must fit. Oh. And it's not that way, it's that way. And it's like, wow, I've got to be that thin. You have to have a bikini bridge where your hip bones stick out so much. The bikini goes from one bone to the other like a bridge, and the bit in the middle must be concave. We have to have a thigh gap. We have to have a design a vagina. It's just insane. Yeah. We have all these new things to worry about: perfect skin, perfect teeth, perfect brows, perfect hair. And we've lost the plot. We shouldn't be saying, are you perfect? We should be saying, are you a good person? Have you got something interesting to offer? What's your skill? But everything is about what you look like. And it's such a shame for women that that's what we've descended to. We're judged on what we look like. I mean, Kim Kardashian, is she's there because of what she looks like.
Right.
She
Yeah.
hasn't done penicillin. She's not a phenomenal doctor. She hasn't done anything to change the world, and yet she's so successful because of what she looks like.
Mm-hmm.
If I have a big butt, I can be as rich and famous as her. We're giving people the wrong message, and it's really
Yeah.
sad.
Well, I also noticed too, and I don't know if you agree, but I also notice, we have these messages that you need to be enough and you need to measure up, but there's also this huge influx of, fix yourself and make yourself better. It's like the personal development arena is getting huge, and so is the, Instagram, be the perfect person on. So it's like I see both happening at the same time.
Yeah.
What's your reaction to that?
Don't ever try to be perfect. Trying to be perfect is a guaranteed way to feel unhappy, because it's like saying, have a perfect birthday party or make your house perfect. I mean, you've made your house perfect, it needs more work. The tiles fall off and something goes wrong. And you see, you can never make anything perfect. You can make yourself groomed and perfect, but then you've got to maintain that all day long.
Mm-hmm.
And the happiest people are not people who try to be perfect. They're the people who accept their flaws. You see, we're so busy trying to change out there, when in order to be perfect, you have to accept in here. I may have cellulite. What does that difference does that make? I'm a great person. I may be a few pounds overweight. What's that got to do with who I am and why I'm here? We're all flawed people having relationships with flawed people, and that's how it should be. But we're all trying to be perfect people, trying to make our kids perfect and trying to make our life perfect. You're never going to have a perfect life. It's not possible. And if you stop trying to seek perfection and love the imperfections and know that you are enough, you're not your weight, you're not your shape, you're not your size, you're not your salary, you're not your childhood. If you know that you're enough just the way you are, then your life will be amazing. And enoughness is not about trying to be better. It's about saying, I'm enough, and I can improve lots of things if I want to, but I'm enough just the way I am. And that's so important.
Yeah. Can you give us an example of somebody that you've worked with that, was a businesswoman that really was stuck in that I'm not enough, I've got to be perfect, and, that you were really able to shift her?
Yes, actually, you remind me of someone I saw last year, a woman who was told to lead her team and she was promoted. And she was leading a team of men, and she kept saying, I can't do it. I can't lead these men. And I said, look, the person who promoted you saw something in you. He believes that you can. This is a belief. I'm a woman. I cannot tell men what to do. No man would go, I can't possibly give men instructions. It's our conditioning that we shouldn't be opinionated. Like, we're mouthy and bitchy, and men can give opinions and be aggressive, but if we do it, we're having a bad day. And I had to really make her step back and see what her boss saw in her, what he saw in her, and that she could lead men if she realized that she was enough to lead men, and not to put herself into that, well, they won't listen to me because I'm a woman. That's insane. If they'll listen to you if you believe what you have to say is worth listening to. And so it's not about changing them, it's about changing you. And then I have many women who say, my mother-in-law is so difficult, everything I do is wrong, and I dread having her come to the house because she criticizes my cooking, she criticizes how I'm raising the children, and no one is good enough for her son. Or women who say, I've got a female boss and she's so competitive, she won't let me rise up, she's pushing me down because she sees me as competition. And all you can ever do is go, look, this is your life, your kid, your husband, your home, this is your career, and you have to believe in yourself. Because when you believe in yourself, say, I've done some great work, or I feel the way I'm raising my child is the right way for my child, and thanks for your opinion, thanks for sharing, but I've got ideas that work for me. Other people pick up that tremendous sense of self-assuredness that comes from you. And not only do they like it, they will stop trying to coerce you to do anything else. So you have to believe in yourself. If you want anyone else to believe in you, believe in yourself. When you know that you're enough, you can't be diminished. You can't be demoralized. You're able to go, well, yeah, my boss is difficult, but she's going through a divorce, or my mother-in-law is difficult. But, I've actually discovered that she's been on antidepressants her whole life because her parents rejected her. It's not about me. But the beautiful thing is that when you know that you're enough, everyone else knows that you're enough too. And really, you're not doing anything new. You're simply reactivating and remanifesting and regenerating what you were born with.
Right.
You were born knowing you're enough, and you're simply getting it back.
Okay, so let me piece these things together, because you've given us many golden nuggets of information here. But I do want to underscore that, believing in ourselves is really important, not to take things personally, right? Because how other people see us, it's not necessarily a reflection of who we are, but also, to remember what we were born with. And I also attended one of your events recently. I was so lucky to see you live in LA. And one of the things that that was so profound for me was the experience of going through one of your hypnosis sessions and going back to figure out, well, I didn't want to figure it out, but it just experienced, what was one of the earliest memories that I wasn't enough. And it came out to, I was making mud pies in the backyard, and my dad came screaming out. It was like a Sunday morning, and he's like, what's wrong with you? What's the matter with you? You're a mess. And I remember it being such, I was 3, and I'm like, I didn't know that there was ever anything wrong with me up until that moment. But I convinced myself in that moment that something was wrong with me. Yeah. And I remember really having a profound, and it's a weird memory to have about making mud pies in the backyard, but it was profound in that moment because it was such an explosive response, and I got in a lot of trouble.
And you see, what's so beautiful about what you've just shared is that the event doesn't affect you, but the meaning you attach to the event does. The interpretation, your father came out screaming at you for making a mess. You were having a great time playing, but he kept saying, what's wrong with you? And gave you a preposition. Something is wrong with me. Something's wrong with me now. I'm a bad person. I've made my dad angry. You didn't even know why, but you only knew one thing: something's wrong with me. Because at 3, you have no logic, only feeling. And when people say, what's wrong with you? Or why are you so naughty? Why are you so bad? It's, I didn't know I was, but clearly I'm so bad. I worked with somebody recently who couldn't conceive, and she'd had every kind of treatment. Nothing was working. And in her regression, she went back to being a very small baby. The father drove lorries during the day and had to sleep at night. And
what's a lorry? I'm sorry.
Truck. He's a truck.
Oh, a truck. Oh, okay.
And he would shout out and go, if you don't stop crying and I don't get enough sleep, I'm going to end up killing myself on the road, and it's all your fault. And then he would say things like, I should never have had a kid. She's putting my life in jeopardy because she's always crying. And of course, the stress in that house made her cry. And then the mother would come and go, you mustn't cry, you mustn't cry. If you cry, he'll leave us. So this tiny baby's got all this pressure. I'm not allowed to cry. I've got to be really still. And if I make a noise, he'll leave. And her feeling was that she was such a disappointment to both her parents, and she couldn't be herself. And that feeling had actually blocked her own fertility. She was so scared that she would have a child and pass that on. And so when things happen to very small children, they have to try and make sense of it with a mind that only feels. And the only sense they can make of it is, it's my fault. It's my fault. I'm not enough. Whether a parent dies or leaves, or has to work double shift, the hospital haven't got any money, all the child will feel is, mum's not with me because she likes that place called work more. Mum's not here, and dad left because I'm not enough. They're not able to have the logic of, we got to work 3 jobs, mum gets more money on the night shift, dad's so inadequate, he's run off with someone else. They can only make it about themselves. And that's very normal, because a child must idealize their parent. Their survival on the planet is linked to feeling that they're safe. And it's much easier for the child to think it's my fault than to realize their dad's crazy or an alcoholic or not very smart or just full of rage. It's much easier for the child to get, it's my fault, it's my fault. But the problem is that when you buy into that, if you look at Marilyn Monroe, father left, mother put her into care, and she believed that was her fault. At a very young age, she had no choice but to believe it was her fault. But the problem is you never give that up. You become the most beautiful, desired woman, and all your life you feel inadequate because when you were far too young to do anything else, you bought into this is my fault. My fault I haven't got a dad. My fault we haven't got money. My fault my mum's sick. And then you keep it forever unless you get someone to explain to you, no, it's not your fault.
Right. And what I was also so impressed with and how you explained it so simply was that a lot of those programs, right, are running unconsciously from when we were little because they were embedded when we were, we had our little 2 and 3-year-old minds. So they're running the show and we don't even know that they're there.
Yeah.
And the fact that most of the time the things that are trying to shift us are at the frontal lobe, like trying to like attack it at the executive mind, and it's not there. It's in the back of the mind.
Yeah,
but
cool.
So the thing is that what I love about your work is the fact that you really go to the root cause of being able to say, okay, what was that, or what is that program that's running? And being able to shift it at that level, because I'm telling you, the experience I had in the room with you was profound. I mean, it was awesome. I walked out that day. I even changed my password on my computer to I am enough. I wrote on my mirror, right? So I did the whole thing. I absolutely love it. I wake up every morning saying I'm enough, I'm enough. And absolutely, it has shifted me so profoundly. So I just want to thank you for that. But I also want to ask one question, because it's been something that I've been dying to ask you. It's what happens though if you don't have the memories and you're going through your amazing hypnotherapy sessions? It's like, how do you release things if you don't remember them?
That's a great question. So first of all, you have an option of going to see an RTT therapist. We have them all over the world. They're extraordinary, and they will take you back and release those memories. If that's not available to you for all kinds of reasons, then you can just decide, okay, I don't think I'm enough. I'm not sure where it came from, but it doesn't actually matter because I know that somewhere, somehow I heard something, saw something that made me feel I wasn't enough. And I'm just going to give that up. Whatever happened when I was 4, 5, 6, 10 that I don't remember, I do remember this. I formed a belief when I'd had 5 years of experience on the planet. I came to a conclusion about myself when I'd been on the planet for 6 years. Let's say all the other kids have a dad at home and I don't. And I decided, well, I don't have a dad, so I'm not as good as everyone else. I don't have the nice clothes other kids have, so I'm lacking. So I formed a belief when I've been on the planet for 5 years. And I don't have to believe that belief. After all, most of us give up the belief in Father Christmas and the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny. The new belief, actually, that's Dad dressed up with a fake beard. And it was Mum that put the money under your pillow when you lost the tooth. So when you form a new belief, you let go of an old belief. So you just have to decide, I'm not prepared to hold on to this belief. I can see that somewhere in my life I acquired a belief I'm not enough, and now I'm going to go, I am enough. I'm enough. I always have been. I always will be. I don't need to justify it. I don't say I'm enough because I'm smart or wealthy or employed. I'm a size 6. I just go, I'm enough because I'm enough. I've always been enough. I always will be enough. And if I begin to say every day I'm enough, and like you say, put it in within my passwords, put it on my phone alerts, embroider it on a cushion, stick it on fridge magnets, write it on a mirror, print it on a t-shirt. If I say it every day, it will sink in like lotion on chapped lips, and it will go in, because the strength of I'm enough is really its simplicity and its truth. Your mind knows that you are enough, that you've always been enough, and it will let that in by repetition. So don't get too concerned with how, why, where, and when. Some people say to me, I went back to the moment of birth and my mum started to cry, and I had to say to my dad, I'm so sorry, Trevor, it's a girl, and I know you wanted a boy. And I felt that I was such a disappointment to my family. One of my clients said that when she was born, the doctor said to the father, it's another girl. What a shame. You're not a man without sons. He was Irish. He was the fourth child. And he said, you're not a man without sons. And she always felt
Wow.
be a boy. And actually she ended up becoming a fire chief because her belief was, my dad is not a man without a son. My mum can't have any more children. I better be the son. And she never understood why she was very masculine, very aggressive, and had problems in her marriage because she couldn't let her husband be the aggressor. And everything changed when she had that memory. But if you keep saying I'm enough, you probably will get the memory. The other thing you can do, which is great, is just before you go to bed at night, say to your unconscious mind, unconscious, while I'm sleeping, take me back to the scenes where I began to think I wasn't enough. Or get a pen and get a journal, right? I'm not enough because, I think I'm not enough because, I believe I'm not enough because, and do some automatic writing. What will come up with, because, and you'll find, I because my dad left when I was 4, because my dad preferred my sister, because my dad always wanted a son. I'm not enough because my mum was always crying about money and I couldn't get the money. And my dad said it was killing him to have to work to provide my school fees. And it will all start to come up, but it doesn't really matter what it is. The only thing that matters is it's not true. It never was true. It's not true now. And you can become free of it forever.
Right. Well, I love the very practical things that you're talking about. And again, I'd love to repeat them of, writing them down, writing I am enough down, waking up every morning, repeating that you are, having it on your mirror, changing your passwords on your computer and your phone. And, as you were talking about, setting bedtime intentions of having that stuff come up. Like if I'm meant to remember it, let me remember it. But to your point, it's really being able to be aware of it and then also make the conscious choice and have that, the adult mind be able to make the conscious choice and let it go. So that the child mind running in the background doesn't feel like it has to hold on and it has to keep fighting or keep searching for that answer or to prove to itself that it's not enough. Is that, yeah?
Yeah, all children know they're enough. They have no concept that they're not. I remember my little girl was very little and I was saying, what do you want for Christmas? Mummy, I want a palace and a swimming pool and a horse. And she wasn't a greedy kid. I said, but that's a lot of money. She went, Mummy, Father Christmas doesn't buy it. The elves make it. You can have whatever you want. We live in a world of, fairy tales, and when you wish on a star, it makes no difference who you are, your dreams come true.
Right.
So she watched Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty and really thought she'd find a prince and a palace. But she wasn't a greedy kid. She just believed that the universe would give you whatever you want because, of course, in the womb, your first experience, it's like being in Hawaii in there. It's 75 degrees. You have 24-hour room service. There's someone else's heartbeat. You're always connected. And all babies are born with a belief that says, I can have whatever I want. It's why they never finish food because they have the concept it might run out or they might waste it. But then it's easy to say, oh, look what you've done. Your mum spent ages pureeing that broccoli and you've wasted it. Or your mum just washed that shirt and now you've got mud on it, like you with the mud pies. So it's very easy to make children feel bad. In the same way, if you have a puppy, it will run out and roll itself in fox poop and make you look so cool, I'm now a fox. But if you shout at it, it's very confused because it's like, oh, I thought I was doing something smart rolling in that fox dirt. And you can make a dog feel guilty for sitting on the sofa, for getting on the kitchen counter or not. Guilt is a manufactured emotion that we learn by the people raising us, but we're not born with any guilt at all. We'd never come out with a birth canal if we felt guilt. Oh, I might tear my mum now. I might stretch her out. We don't have any guilt. We don't feel guilt for keeping our parents up, or they just put us in a lovely white cashmere sweater. We throw up all over it. It's an acquired emotion and you have to let that go.
Interesting. So that's also, I interpret that as guilt being a really great signal for us to notice when we're feeling guilty. And I can definitely say that I use that as one of my, my triggers of like, oh, I'm feeling guilty. Why am I feeling guilty? What is that about? And really being more consciously aware and asking myself, like, what is that guilt about? So I love that you're pointing us in the right direction of what to look for and what to be aware of. And again, you know, Marisa, this has been so amazing. And I just want to ask you, you know, what if there was one thing, and we've covered like a gazillion things here today, but if there was just one thing that you wanted women to remember about, you know, not having to be perfect and dealing with burnout and just being able to, you know, live the lives that they want to, what's that one thing that you really want them to remember?
I would say to all the women out there, when you have a feeling, feel the feeling until it no longer requires to be felt. We're all taught you mustn't feel jealousy, you mustn't feel rage. It's not right to be envious. You shouldn't be angry. You shouldn't be tired. And because we're not taught that we are allowed to be our feelings, they are, after all, the most real thing we have, and they're telling us what's going on. We're taught to eat our feelings, shop our feelings, you know. So when you feel a feeling and you push it down with a cake or a glass of wine, or you go on eBay and buy something, or you binge watch Netflix to stop the feeling goes, now I've got to regroup and come back stronger than ever. Your feelings are your very best friend. They're like a classroom of children going, hey, notice me, I need some attention. And when you notice them, go, okay, I'm actually feeling deep resentment towards my kid because they've kept me up all night. I'm feeling really annoyed that my child's got so many things that I didn't have, and that's irrational, but I'm going to feel it. I'm going to sit with this and it's going to go away. I'm feeling rage at my husband because he's just made salad, got food all over the floor, and he said he's helping by making dinner, but he's used every pan and I've got to clean it up. And instead of going, I shouldn't feel that, I'm ungrateful, feel your feeling, go, I feel it. And I'm going to let myself feel it, and then I'm going to it will go away if you acknowledge it. I call it triple A. Be aware of what you're feeling, whatever it is, be aware of it. Go, I'm feeling huge resentment right now. I'm furious with my best friend because I spent so much money on her gift and she bought me a bunch of flowers, and I'm really annoyed. But that's what I feel. I'm aware of it. I'm now going to accept it. I'm not going to go, well, I shouldn't. You know, she didn't mean it, and she hasn't got any money, and I didn't have to buy all that stuff. I'm going to be aware of it. I'm going to accept it. But the third A is I'm going to articulate it. I'm going to say, maybe to the wall or the mirror, I'm actually really upset that my friend didn't even buy me a gift. I know when I had my wedding, there were certain people who didn't buy us a gift, and I thought, wow, we spent so much money on the wedding. Didn't even get us a gift. That's so bizarre. And I said to my husband, isn't that weird? And I said it. I didn't say it to them. And now it's gone. I can share it with you. I mean, I don't know what they were thinking of. People didn't buy me a gift, one of them sent me their wedding list, and they asked me to buy them a bureau for their wedding. I'm like, are you kidding? A bureau? I mean, wow, that's insane. But I just thought, I'm not buying you a bureau. I bought them an ornament. It's the feeling of I don't even know what I'm feeling because I'm eating it, I'm shopping it, I'm on the computer, not aware of it. And if I was aware, I said, I oughtn't to feel like that. Be aware of it, accept it, no matter how irrational it is, accept the feeling and articulate it. If your mother-in-law or your boss is difficult, instead of going, I'm just going to eat taco chips because I've got to push that feeling down, go into the bathroom, turn on the taps and say, I'm feeling rage at my boss. I'm feeling resentment at my mother. I'm feeling really upset that my sister-in-law keeps telling me that her kid is better than my kid. And the minute you say it, the feeling goes, oh, you noticed me. Now I can leave because you felt what I was trying to tell you to feel. Outrage is rage coming out. Feelings are like gas. When you keep them in, they hurt you. When you let them out, it's a bit uncomfortable, but you feel so much better out than in. So feel your feeling until it no longer requires to be felt. And then you'll feel at peace and happy.
Oh my gosh. I love that because, it really does allow us to accept the stories that we have and to accept the fact that we want to change them and fix them, but also get to that point of being able to, acknowledge to ourselves that we're taking it personally. And then sometimes that at least those are the times when I can just like, it's so much easier to let it go when I know, okay, I'm taking it personally. I have this story and I'm really trying to change it, but allowing myself to have it anyway and not judge it. So I love how you put the 3 A's together, because it's just so smart and it's right to the point. So this
I
has
have
been,
another one which I love called
okay.
Triple P. And that's about if something's hurting you, it can't hurt you unless it's permanent, personal, and all pervasive. So let's imagine your boss is really difficult or your child is really difficult.
Mm-hmm.
That's not permanent, because one day your child will be 18 and will have left home and your boss will be somewhere else. So it's not permanent. It's not personal. Your kid thinks every grown up of your age is stupid and they'd rather listen to Axl Rose than you. And your boss is horrible to everyone, so it's not personal. And it's not all pervasive. When you're at home having sex with your husband, having a lovely dinner, your boss isn't there, and your 18-year-old kid who thinks you're completely stupid isn't there either. So it can only hurt you if they're permanent, meaning they happen all the time and they're never going to change. They're personal, meaning it's all about you, whereas your boss is horrible to everyone, and all pervasive, meaning it's going on 24 hours a day.
Mm-hmm.
So if they're none of those P's, they're just temporary and they can't hurt you unless you choose to let them hurt you.
Right. And that's a great awareness for, that overthinking, that spinning that happens, right? That we can get caught in. I know men as well as women do it. So I'm not just going to say that women do it too. We all do it. But yeah, that's another great tool of us being able to be aware of what we're doing and be more conscious, to know that we're enough and really know it on a really deep level. So Marisa, again, thank you so, so much for your generosity and your time and being here with us today. I know our audience is just going to be super thrilled. And also, I want to remind everybody that right below, click below for Marisa's free gift. And if you haven't done so already, we do have the VIP Backstage Pass, where you can have all the bonuses as well as access to all of the interviews. So it's kind of like a burnout solution built into the program, because you don't have to wait and you don't have to worry about missing anything, and you can download all these great interviews just like Marisa's and have it at your fingertips whenever you need it. So if you haven't done so already, you can go and get that before midnight tonight. And I also, again, want to thank you, Marisa, and let everybody know that we'll be in the Facebook group later for any discussion that we have about this amazing interview. And I want to invite everybody to the next awesome interview. So thank you, Marisa, and have an amazing day.
You're so welcome.